Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. First and foremost, I'd like to take this opportunity to express my and our sincere condolences and sympathy for all those who have been impacted by COVID-19, especially those families who have lost loved ones. This worldwide pandemic has disproportionately affected Imperial County in ways that are very, very concerning to our leadership. Although the county has taken proactive and aggressive action in response to this crisis, even instituting face coverings, stay-at-home orders, this being done prior to the state instituting them, we are continuing to see our residents test positive, and our hospitals are experiencing an influx of hospitalizations. Due to this, the state has dispatched several resources in our emergency response efforts, which we are very, very appreciative of. In addition to that, the governor has requested that we take further action by reinstating a stay-at-home order to help mitigate the further spread of COVID-19 in cases of our region. To be clear, County of Imperial remains in place or stay in place for County of Imperial, except for essential worker needs. Those over 65 with underlying health conditions should continue to stay at home to protect themselves from the virus. Additionally, we continue to require the use of face coverings when in public spaces or in environments around others where they are not, whether or not they're part of your household. When they are not part of your household. With the governor's approval, the county slowly allowed some additional access to retail stores and religious services, provided that they adhere to achieving key safety standards. Notwithstanding the limited access we have now to public spaces and business in the county, we hear loudly the governor's request. We are pleading with our residents to comply with the stay-at-home order that is currently in place. We will continue to collaborate and work with the state and the governor's office over the weekend to assess and identify where else resources can be dispatched or utilized and additional steps we could possibly take. We are fully committed to preserving the health and safety of everyone living in Imperial County and to stopping the further spread of COVID-19. We all care and want what is best for our community, to minimize the number of people getting sick, to rebuild our economy, to get our kids back in school, and to get our loved ones back to work. But this requires that we all come together and do our part. It means staying at home unless essential for you to go out somewhere and wearing a face covering when you're out in public. This means temporarily avoiding large gatherings of friends and family. It means sacrifice and responsibility. No one is saying any of this is going to be easy, but it is necessary. We have no choice. Our health depends on it. When we all want to and should do our part, it puts us together and it brings us closer to normal. Before I'm done, I'd like to read for you a quote that I found from Oliver Hazel Perry's, where he said, "We have met the enemy, and the enemy is us." And in this case, during this pandemic, the enemy is truly being us. Our inability to stay in place, our unwillingness to protect ourselves as well as others. So I hope that as this weekend comes about and we continue together with our loved ones, you keep these comments in mind. We are responsible for protecting ourselves, our loved ones, and those around us. With that in mind, I understand that we have some questions that have come in, and I will answer any of those that come up.
Okay, the first question was received by Beyond Borders Gazette. Is the governor's recommendation to go back to stage 1 that would force the closure of businesses that were able to open in stage 2 lower risk? If so, when will this go into effect?
At this point, there is no decision to make any changes yet. I think over the next few days, we will be working with representatives from the governor's office and seeing what the best path going forward will be. As I reiterated, we have that stay-at-home order that has not changed. We have looked at ongoing face covering, and we will look at where some changes could possibly be made, but this will be in conjunction with the governor's office.
Okay. Question from the Imperial Valley Press. There are 2 questions from them. The first one, on her show, Rachel Maddow from MSNBC stated that we should shut down earlier this week. Did this have any bearing on the governor's decision, considering her show reaches millions of people?
I would not speak for the governor. I, like many other people, saw the show and became very concerned for the plea that was coming out, but I can't comment on what the governor's thought process was.
Second question from the Imperial Valley Press. The governor said that our positive cases were at 23%. However, today the health department latest report was under 14%. Is this correct? And if we are improving, why did the governor make this decision now?
So both numbers are correct, I believe, but not necessarily what is being looked at. The standard is a 7-day moving period for cases, which I believe we are slightly under 14%, and that is the measurement that was initially put out by the governor. Today he quoted a 14-day average at 23%. Why 14 days? I do not know. I do know the standard that was set forth was a 7-day. So both numbers may be correct. The standard is 7-day, and 8% at 7-day at a 7-day average. We are at 14% right now.
Okay. Next question is from KESQ TV in Thousand Palms. The county already had a stay-at-home order in effect. What does the governor's recommendation change?
Well, at this point, it does not. It reiterates the stay-at-home order that we have. As far as stay-at-home orders, nothing changes that.
Okay. Last question from KESQ. With the significant population of Imperial County working in agriculture and farm workers considered essential, exempt from the stay-at-home order, what additional steps will the county take to prevent transmission for them?
So there will be some, I'm sure there will be some conversation that we will have over the next few days with the governor's office. But as you understand, border crossing and immigration issues are a federal issue. And so how we can possibly work with federal agencies, I still don't know. But we will definitely be looking at every possibility to try to look at that.
Okay, next question is from iNewsSource, and it's a 2-part question. I'll go ahead and ask the entire thing. Could the county explain how this conversation with the governor's office on stricter restrictions came about? Was this a result of the Board of Supervisors' request to the governor on local control of reopening decisions or something else?
I don't know what drove his answer. I do believe that perhaps last week during his address, during his comments, he made a comment that if Imperial County was to request a variance at that time, he would not be able to issue it. So I think that he may have answered at that time that request. What other influences or information led him to make today's comments? I don't know, but we definitely look forward with meeting with the officials and representatives to together find out where that was triggered or where that came from.
Okay. The last set of questions comes from the Desert Sun. There are 4 questions. The first one, what is the county's response to the governor's statement today?
Well, we are as concerned as he is. This is also a great opportunity not only to look at what we have done, but to also look at some additional resources that can be brought. I think that everybody is aware of the facility out at IVC. I think we've talked and reported to you about CDC efforts and people on the ground here helping us. You know that we have people from the National Guard and different state departments helping out in the hospitals and in facilities. And we welcome more help. We definitely do. And we also would like very much to start talking about recovery. So as we are going through this, I was looking at some unemployment numbers, and this time last year, we were at about 15% unemployment, and I think that EDD there said as corrected or adjusted. There was some wording there to qualify. But I think today we're very close to twice that. So going forward, there will be two topics that we need to consider. One, ongoing support that we very much need and ask for. And we do appreciate everything that we have already received as far as support. But I think that there is more that we can work out together. But I also think that we need to start working on a long-term recovery program, not only for our businesses, for our communities, but for our local cities and governments, and everybody who has been impacted by this pandemic.
In regards to the first question, is the county working with the governor on this?
We are, and as answered in the previous question, the previous answer, I'm sorry.
Okay. Third question from Desert Sun. What challenges does the county anticipate in following the governor's directives?
Well, we are already following, the directives that he has put forth, and now I won't repeat those again and again. But where we are having some challenges that I see is in the community. I drive, on my way to a store or by a building, and I see people standing out there with no protection. They're standing closer than 6 feet, not able to socially distance, and not wearing face coverings. I drive quite a few miles on an average week, and I see what I would see as van pools or car pools going to work. And once again, I don't see people wearing face protection. And so one of the things we're going to have to work out and figure out together is how can we get our community to understand that as a health department, we can put orders in place. As a government, we can bring resources. As a hospital, they can be ready in the event that you get sick, which I hope that you would never get there. We have testing. We have all this information. But if you fail to do your part, everything we are doing is worthless. It doesn't count. So I would like to take this opportunity and make use of that question to invite everybody in the community to help us protect yourself, help us protect those loved ones around you. I myself have not lost anybody close to me to COVID, but I have spoken to 2 people who have lost somebody close in their family. One of them was a story about them losing a family member. The other one had to do more with the person having remorse, not knowing if they were the one that brought it home. Very difficult times, and I would hate to see anybody in either one. And so you're the one that can make that change.
Okay. Last question. Is the county working with Customs and Border Protection on any measures to slow the spread of the virus between Imperial County and Mexicali?
We do have ongoing communication and exchange information, not only with U.S. Customs and Border Protection, but with the representatives from the other side of the border as well. As I said a little bit earlier today, because border crossing is a federal issue, it is something that we can't directly chime into, but it's definitely something that we can work on those information points and getting the information to those border crossers so that they are safer as they come across.
Those are the last questions that we received.
Thank you. So being no, is there any questions from the room? Being none, once again, I'd like to take this opportunity to, well, number one, wish everybody an excellent weekend, but ask you to continue to protect yourself. As you speak to those around you, help us educate. I know that I've spoken to a lot of educators in recent days, and they obviously have a lot of concern on how they can possibly go back to school, whether distance learning or back in the classroom or some kind of blended program. And I think that, you know, every school district in the nation is going to look at their capabilities as far as equipment and the ability to do those programs. But I do know that one of the areas where schools, elementaries, junior high, high schools, colleges, universities can greatly help us. And they can start doing that now because there's summer classes going on right now. Is you have a window into all these households day in, day out as you're reaching out to your students. Educators, I ask for your help. I ask that you help us get the information out to your students and begin to teach them how to protect themselves. For the younger ones, how to protect their parents. When I first came to live in Calexico, my parents and I only spoke Spanish. But I did learn to speak English rather quickly next to a teacher by the name of Nancy Castillo in Calexico, who took extra effort to make sure that I understood the language quick. But not only did I learn to speak English, I became the translator and, to a certain extent, the default educator for my parents, teaching them about the things that I was learning. So I know the power of those kids in the house and what they can bring to those families. So I ask all the teachers that going forward, they sign on and they help us make this community better and educate and help us go side by side in recovering our community, our economy, and everything that we seem to be losing little by little. We really, really will be counting on you. Thank you.